Okay, what up, y'all, and welcome back to the Fit Man Cook Kitchen. It feels really funny to be saying that right now because it's been a minute, but I'm happy to be back here, happy to be back in the kitchen, and happy to be talking to all of y'all. I'm just gonna jump right into today's video. 2 years ago, I stepped back from creating on YouTube. It wasn't because I wanted to, but essentially I had to do that. This video is not about here's my survival story and how I solved all my life's problems. This isn't that kind of story. This is basically something that we could all maybe like relate to, in that we lose ourselves. And this is a story about losing myself and then trying to find myself again. And I do say trying to and finding myself again in present tense, just because this is an ongoing thing. Me taking a break from YouTube was more than just I need a little bit of a break. This was something much deeper. And more recently, I almost walked away from everything for good. It wasn't just YouTube, but it was just I couldn't take the anxiety, I couldn't take the pressure of the performance, I couldn't take the fakeness, I couldn't take competing against something that I had no control over. It was just a lot. And so, but somehow this bowl of soup, I know it sounds crazy, actually reminded me all over again of the opportunity that I have and why I love what I get to do. Okay, let's go back to 2022. YouTube just wasn't working for me. And I know what y'all gonna say. Yeah, Kev, but you gotta try this. You gotta try that. I had done every single best practice. I was trying to do different themes. I was trying to do different formats. I was boosting every single video as well. And nothing seemed to work. And here's the catch of it, is that I was really enjoying and loving the content that I was doing, but there was just no ROI. And so I couldn't justify it. I know what you're probably thinking, like, Kev, this is what every single creator goes through. Everyone in the world has to deal with this, and I get it. That's not what I'm saying at all. That's absurd. I know we all have to do this. I'm just saying that after years of creating and competing with an algorithm with zero ROI, I had to finally come to some really hard truths about what I was doing wasn't working, regardless of what I tried at the moment. It wasn't just costing me money, it was costing me my time, it was costing me my energy, it was costing me the creativity, and more importantly, it was just costing me my confidence. And then my videographer, Jesse, who has been rocking with me for such a long time, y'all have seen him in my videos, we've seen him go back and forth, he's traveled around the world. And one thing that I can say about Jesse is that he gave his absolute best to this brand. He sacrificed time away with his family to come and have to try to build the dream that I was trying to build. And he did that without complaining and with grace. And so when he said that it's time for him to move on, and I was happy for him, because there's nobody that deserves the right to be able to create something amazing more so than him, just because of the sacrifices that he's made. So while I'm happy for him, it was also a sign for me that the things that I was doing, it wasn't working out. It wasn't sustainable, emotionally, mentally. So I'm juggling all this behind the scenes, at the same time juggling my personal life. You know, when you post someone on Instagram and then all of a sudden you break up and then you gotta take on the pictures and stuff like that. And then there were some business conflicts. Then a buddy of mine, a close friendship we had, that just kind of dissolved. I impulsively sold my home, thinking that going to New York or LA or some other place was going to change everything for me. So when you look at everything, the personal hits, the breakup, the business stuff, the impulsive home sale, all those things were symptoms of the same problem. I was unraveling. So around that same time, a buddy of mine, we get together virtually and we'll have some whiskey and talk about life and catch up. He noticed that something seemed off. And sometimes when somebody asks you how you're doing, it's one of those rare times perhaps that you just give an honest answer. And he asked, and I told him, and he said, okay, I think you maybe need to see a doctor, man, if you're in that condition. So he helped me to find the doctor, and it also made me realize that I couldn't keep faking the funk anymore, that people were seeing it. So what I was feeling on the inside was definitely coming out publicly. I saw the doctor. She asked me one question, how are you doing? And I don't know what it was about that question, but I just got extremely emotional. And we had a conversation, and then she said, I think this is bipolar 2. And while I was emotional when she said that, I felt an intense amount of relief more than anything else. It was confirmation that what I was feeling just wasn't in my head. It's like I could name it, I could hold it, I could even blame it and be like, yo, you're the reason why I feel this way. You're the reason why my life is like this. And so that for me felt like relief. And I know it sounds crazy, y'all. I know what I'm going to say is going to sound crazy, but for the first time in a long time, I actually felt the ground underneath my feet. I started taking medication and did therapy for a year, and that was just amazing. And therapy is not one of those like one and done, quick fix types of things. And for me, I'm not looking at therapy. I don't use therapy to solve all life problems because I don't think that's even possible. But I do use therapy to help me to navigate life and to look at things outside of my emotions so I can approach things for oftentimes, for what they are. So I can maximize my experience in my personal life and also in my business life. So, hey, you know what? There's a pitch right there to go and to get into therapy if you need it. For me, it wasn't just a quick fix. And I wanted to show up as a better son, a better creator, a better friend, a better brother, a better uncle, a better boyfriend, a better husband maybe like one day, hopefully. I don't know, but just I wanted to show up better. And I looked out for everybody else, making sure everyone is good, making sure they're happy, making sure they have what they need, because helping people helps me and makes me happy. But at the end of the day, I didn't have enough of me for me. I couldn't show up for me. So it's not surprising that I didn't have any energy and enthusiasm and any drive to do the things that actually once fed me, that actually brought me joy. I didn't leave enough of me for me. All right, let's get a quick refill. Okay. So dealing with all that, and then my mom's cancer progressed, stage 4. And the doctor gave her 60 days, and she died on day 63. So up to that point, and I guess this is also present tense, that my coping mechanism has always been the same since I've been a young kid. Is this that when things get really heavy, I just sweep everything under the rug. Like I just sweep all of it. When my mom passed, grief did something that was really unexpected. It didn't break me further. I was already broken, but I had just become really good at hiding it. But now, with my rug so full, it could no longer hide me, and I just felt exposed. So, for more or less, grief was a spotlight to show me everything that I was hiding under that rug. Overworking, the impulsive decisions, avoiding hard conversations, tying my worth to likes, views, and shares. And I realized that I had lost confidence in myself quietly over time. The weeks after my mom passed, within 2 weeks after my mom passed, I'd lost 20 pounds. I'm still trying to gain it back. Basically, the way I was feeling on the inside was now manifesting itself on the outside. You could kind of see, oh man, my dude is struggling. Yeah, I had adopted a survival mentality. I was just trying to make it to the next day. In the middle of all of this, I had realized I just lost my why. And I needed to do something that I had never done before. And that was to step back from all of it. No posting, no browsing, no scrolling, no liking, no nothing. All of it. Just stop. I realized I had never done that in 10 years. That was the first time I had never felt compelled to share something, to save something to share later, to post something. That was the first time. And that's crazy. I mean, anybody could lose himself in that. So the time away was really good because it gave me a lot of time to self-reflect, and it reminded me of another really low time in my life where my mom taught me something. I remember it was after a breakup and I was feeling pretty down. I was over at the house and she said, come in here, look at yourself in the mirror. And she said, I want you to say, God, I know you love me. God, I know you love me. And she said, no, I want you to say it like you mean it and say it like you believe it. I got maybe like the first two words out, and I just felt just a rush of emotion. Hearing myself say it was almost as if I heard it for the first time, and I didn't realize just how far away I felt from that statement because I swept everything under the rug, including my faith. I wasn't praying, I wasn't going to church. I just stopped believing, and I resented God for life just seemed hard for me for no reason at all. And that's the most frustrating thing. And especially if you know someone with BP2, or if you know someone who maybe struggles with anxiety and depression, let me tell you that, like, the ones that truly have it, they don't want to feel that way. And so life just being hard for no reason at all, you feel like it's just hard, is its own separate form of torture that many people will never understand. But the good thing, though, in all this is that I knew that I didn't want to feel this way. And I knew that it was possible because I could remember times in my life where I was genuinely happy. So I know that it's possible to get back to those times. It just requires something that I have not been doing, and that is to chase me, chase what I want, chase my why, not what's important to the people around me or what people expect me to want in life. I need to chase me so I can find that version of myself that doesn't flinch in the mirror when I say, God, I know you love me, that my heart and my mind and my mouth all align. During the time away, I didn't do nearly any cooking. I had this weird feeling about cooking because I had tied the success of, or the lack of success that I thought that I would be having with cooking in general. So I really literally convinced myself that it really wasn't worth it. And that's a terrible way to think about it. But one night, I found myself back into the kitchen. And there were no cameras, no shot list, no plan. It's just me and a pot. Growing up, my mom's chicken soup was comfort. Like probably many of y'all out there. Like when mama makes something, it just feels different. If she put that bowl in front of me, I just felt a little bit safer. Now, as an adult, I was able to travel and I was introduced to pho, which is like one of the best foods of all time. And it transformed the way that I think about food. That night in the kitchen, I created a soup that fused my favorite things: my mom's chicken soup and the flavors and the technique of pho. It was grilled chicken, the rice, aromatics, herbs, a clean broth. The soup isn't nostalgia. It's me remembering that I know how to think clearly again, that I can be intentional, that precision matters, and that underneath all of this that I still had joy. And because of that, I had hope. Every choice in that bowl, the sear, the aromatics, the blooming, it reminded me that I still know what I'm doing. It showed me that there's a version of me that's still here that can build. So I remembered that I don't hate this. I don't hate cooking. I don't hate creating. I just hate what I had turned it into. My mom taught me something that I forgot for a while, and that is cooking is about showing up. Like growing up, we were Big Mama's house, in which everybody would come over after church or on holidays, and I always thought she was talking about the family, and she was. But deeper than that, she was really talking about me. You can't pour out what you don't have. So I'm back to showing up, and I'm building something different this time. Not chasing algorithms, not trying to compete, just creating what I believe in for people who believe in it too. And if any part of what I've shared today landed, then stick around. Thank you for the ones that stayed, even as I thank the ones who have left. Thank you for the time that you supported me. There's more food coming, there's more real conversation, and much more of this intentional type of work. Drop a comment, let me know where you're at, physically, mentally, emotionally, you pick, whatever it is. Let's do a community check-in. I'm not the person that I was just 3 weeks ago, and that's intentional. Yes, I'm back in therapy, and I'm loving it. It's right where I want to be. Until next time, you know what? Maybe I won't even do a sign out this time. I'm just going to go with the flow. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.